one of my favorite ways to solve problems comes from Jane McGonigal's book, Super Better. Now, Jane has a PhD in gaming, in the game industry, and understanding like why games work. And she had a concussion that really laid her out and really affected her brain, her thinking, her ability to work. She had a lot of pain and really was in a bad way and thinking that she'd never fully recover from the brain injury. So she used her gaming background and she created this really simple activity. It's this superhero activity where you put on your superhero cape and you identify your power-ups and your bad guys. So what I'm going to ask you to do with this is anything that's currently challenging to you. So you can choose a challenge or a problem. I've used this for health issues, like, just like things that won't go away, chronic stuff that won't go away. I've also used it for time management when I've really needed to use time in a way that was better. I had to identify, who I was going to be. So it was like, Cate the super efficient, right? Or something like that. So you give your superheroine or superhero self a name or a title. And you can even, you can put it on your cape. You can put it on your blank line of like exactly what is your name going to be. So it's crucial right now that you're identifying exactly what is the problem or challenge that you're solving for, and what would be a good superheroine name or superhero name for yourself that would be someone who has overcome the challenge or the problem. So take a moment and you could do that now. All right. So next, what you're going to do is identify what are the power-ups and what are the bad guys. And I find rather doing this linearly, it's almost better to go back and forth. So I'm going to use the example of time. So at one point, I was really struggling with how I was using my time. I needed to get more things done in less time. And so it was, basically like Cate the super efficient. And I identified some things that really helped me. And so one of them was basically waking at 5 a.m. This was super helpful. Another thing I knew that really helped was even 10 minutes of meditation before going to work. This was another power up for me. I knew at the time certain apps were really not good. So time on Facebook, that was not a good use of my time. Time in email, this was not a good use of my time. So bad guys, and in here we're using Pac-Man symbols. So for those who are children in the 80s, you might be familiar with the game Pac-Man. So Pac-Man is where you had ghosts, which would kill you. Those are the bad guys. But there was these little power-ups that if you were to do those things, if you were to basically run your Pac-Man into a power-up, you could eat the ghosts. The power-ups are so strong that they would overcome the negative or the things that weren't working. So what are the power-ups and what are the bad guys in terms of your challenge, in terms of your problem? This is where absolute honesty is crucial. Like you don't get anywhere without really recognizing it. I'm gonna show another example here. If you have power-ups and bad guys, if we were to do like a health problem. So once I had this really persistent cold, and I just could not get rid of the cold. So it was like Cate the cough slayer, because I had to get rid of this cough. I'd had it for like a month, and it was ridiculous. And I realized like the things that were powered up, like taking vitamin C was super helpful. Gargling with oregano oil was super helpful. Things that were bad guys, coffee, I noticed at the time that was absolutely not helping me out. Staying up late watching Netflix, not helping me out. eating foods that were acidic, so acidic foods, and sometimes it helps to get really more specific with this, and you can have like a little subcategory here, like for instance, tomatoes, or even things that are just like mildly acidic, like Swiss chard, like that was not helpful. And things that are a regular part of, were a regular part of my diet that just really, I had to realize that for this particular cough slayer identity, those were not helping me out. So here I am. I'm Cate, the cough slayer. And just getting really clear on exactly what are the things that are helping me, exactly what are the things that were not helping me. Naps, 8+ hours of sleep, all of these things I knew were going to be good. Now, often things will turn up that are somewhat surprising. Like for me, I can be like an over-exerciser where I can actually just like kind of run myself down. I remember at this phase of my life, I was in Mexico. We were going into winter in Mexico, which is still like 75 degrees, but there's a breeze. And I would just, I would surf once or twice a day. I might go running on the beach. I might play tennis with my kid. Like I was just probably doing too much, and my body really needed naps. It needed rest. The other thing that I noticed was really helpful was like health-related reading. So reading something that, what it was one of my, pulling off one of my books off the shelf and just getting just really inspired by like super clean diets. That was really helpful. Sometimes I'll use YouTube playlists. So having like a YouTube playlist that kind of gets me more into health mode. That's something I've used a lot with health-related issues or injuries or whatnot. Bad guys, at this point, in Mexico, we're known to have a beer or two. So beer or alcohol of any kind, even like staying, kind of going to friends' houses. I'm even going to put friends, which, the friends could show up on either side. But in this particular case, like I didn't need to be around people. I needed to slay my cough. So that's how you do super better. And what I do with this is then I put this list, I pin it to the fridge. Now, neither of my fridges are magnetic, so I tape it. I tape it to my fridge because it's something I open a few times a day. You could tape it to your bathroom mirror. You just want to put this somewhere where you're going to see it. And then you can just do a quick evaluation at the end of the day, like how many power-ups did I get? How many bad guys did I get? Like which way am I going? The idea on here is like the power-ups do not need to be big things. The more you can break it down into little things that help move you along, the better. So back to the time management one, Cate, the super efficient, understanding where, like right now, for instance, being in Slack is not a good use of my time. Where being in Teamwork, which is our project management tool, that's a much better use of my time. Having a midday meditation, even if it's only 10 minutes, is really super helpful. This one was the morning meditation, doing a visualization or mental rehearsal before bed on what I'm going to do the next day. So I just visualize what I'm going to do the next day. Really a great power up for me. Things in terms of the bad guys, if I do the opposite of that, it might be like Netflix before bed or some sort of or YouTube before bed. That these are things that don't help my brain reorganize and turn into bad guys. So this is Cate, the super efficient, and I might on my cake even put a clock. Right? And this is kind of what you want to do. Is you want to make this fun. Like that was what Jane McGonigal really found. And you can watch her TED Talk, her YouTube videos. She's amazing. McGonigal, McGonigal. And she really talks about the importance of when you have a challenge or a problem, like how can you make it into a game? How can you gamify it? Because we know that humans like playing games. And you're no different. And so if you take something that might seem hard or heavy or has like a list of behaviors that you're trying not to do and a list of behaviors that you're trying to do, how can you gamify it in a really easy way? And I find just simply taking a moment and doing this and then pinning it to your fridge or to your bathroom mirror, or if you work a lot right near your computer, it just serves as a really great reminder. I'm thinking of more of these things as we're doing this. Another great thing my super slayer was doing, my cough slayer, was doing oil pulling with coconut oil. So like starting with that, I started to put a little jar of coconut oil near my desk so that I would remember to do that. So whatever it is, again, you can edit it, you can update it. The important thing right now is choose a problem or challenge. Create a name that is you on the other side of that, like you who have gone to the next level of the game and you don't have this challenge anymore. What were the power-ups? What were the bad guys? Write it down. You'll notice then over the days you might add more things to your power-ups and bad guys. You might even leave some spaces blank over here just so that you can fill them in as you discover exactly what are the power-ups and the bad guys.